Talk to me a little bit about how the deal is even originally discussed. Does Turner reach out to you or do you reach out to Turner?
Um, Turner reached out to us through Jim Barnett, and he this this is when I figured out that he's always wanted the wrestling, and I told you about the Atlanta Braves
Yeah.
deal, and so it was like he saw that there were issues, heard the rumors, he wanted to keep wrestling, and so how does he get it? So he calls Barnett, who's he's been friends with for years, and Barnett goes, "Hey, can we work something out?" Well, the answer is yes. And once that got out that it was happening, because Barnett can't keep a secret from anybody,
Right.
uh, everybody scattered. Whatever it was going to be, they scattered too.
Talk to me a little bit about why Turner would have been interested. Do you think his idea or his fear was if I don't go in and buy out Jim, Vince will?
No, I thought he would fear that he was going to lose wrestling in general
I see.
because he was not going to do business with Vince.
Right.
Vince could have bought me out, but he wouldn't have gotten TBS.
So the idea being, if he still wants to have a shot at owning wrestling, this is his last chance.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you guys met and had a conversation in a luxury suite at a sporting event in Atlanta. Did that happen?
No.
Okay. How do you guys arrive at terms of a deal? Going through the attorneys, or are you talking to Ted?
No. Ted never personally got involved that I'm aware of. I hired, oh man, I can't think of his name. His expertise was failing companies. He did Joseph Banks and clothing store. When he did trouble, how do you sell it? You sell assets or you sell intangibles. I mean, that's what he did. He was a real good friend of Jack Moroz, our attorney, and he did all the negotiating because, I mean, you had the royalty rights and all kinds of stuff that had to be worked out.
Dusty did interviews before he passed away where he claimed no responsibility for the demise of Jim Crockett Promotions. Said, I did my job. It was that damn accountant, Dave Johnson, who didn't do his job. I'm sure you have a different opinion.
Dave Johnson did a good job. He went crazy doing it. Dusty did not like it whenever I told him Dave said we shouldn't do something that he wanted to do.
Right.
I mean, he did not like Dave. So
maybe that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Dusty also says the guaranteed contracts were the death knell for JCP. He felt like guys should have been always paid on the houses. That way the revenues couldn't get lopsided. But because you felt like you had to compete with Vince, you had to do the guaranteed contracts.
Well,
how much of that do you think played a part?
I tried to explain to Dusty about the TV revenues and how that's the only way we could compete with Vince and keep talent. He's going, yeah. And so for him to say that means he never understood what I said.
When did you know, hey, we're in dire financial straits here and potentially facing bankruptcy? Do you recall, and was there a last ditch effort that you remember, like, if I can get this to work, maybe we can save the day?
I know there was I had a sort of come to Jesus when in my own mind, I don't know whether it was late 87 or 88, but it's like, I've got to do something. And I just didn't know what to do. It was like, should have changed bookers, woulda, coulda, shoulda, who knows? But it just didn't come to me what to do to stop the slide. the slide had started. And once the house revenues started dropping, then it was, it was over.
Talk to me about the family in this era. Did you have to? I mean, I feel like you probably had to consult with everyone and let them know the realities of the situation. What can you tell us?
Well, David's the only one I used to talk to because Jackie's Jackie. And Frances was, she did the baseball, and then once that burned down, she was doing the magazine and stuff. But the issues with cash flow, I probably wasn't as open with David as I should have been about projections. But when we finally sold, somebody asked me the question the other day. I said, we went several years, we didn't speak. And I think there were some hurt feelings that I did not communicate with them about how bad things were.
But you're saying we didn't speak. You mean you and David, or you and the rest of the family?
Jackie, Francis, and we've gotten now where in the last couple of years we call each other happy birthday, whatever. But there was a period of time there was no communication.
They blamed you.
Yeah. Now they all walked away with $1 million, but that wasn't enough. The Jim Crockett Promotions was gone. And that meant a lot more to them than I realized.
The sale with Turner was facilitated in November of '88. Do you remember when those conversations started? Would it have been that fall or maybe the summer?
It was in the summer because it actually took a little while to do it. The Turner legal team, was very nitpicky. And they had a right to be, but because Steamboat came back and sued him about, he hadn't signed a release on a TV show. And they tried to do their due diligence. But so it was in the summer.
There were reports that came out in the paper that you guys were talking about doing a deal, and you would always give vague answers like, there's nothing to report yet and things like that. But there was some reports I read in the newsletter where they thought perhaps on the Turner side, you weren't maybe going to do the deal. There was some concern that maybe you might get cold feet and not sell. And so allegedly, they even had conversations with guys like Fritz about maybe we could get their program on. Did you ever hear anything like that?
No. I can tend to get bullheaded. They may have brought up something, well, we got to do this. And I'd go, no. But it wasn't no to the deal. It was no to a part of the deal.
I see.
We're going to give you a 5-year or a 2-year No, I want a 5-year. Or, it was pieces of the puzzle that I didn't like.
I've read the number was $9 million. Is that accurate?
That's probably the ballpark.
With that, did they inherit any old debt, or did you have to shore that up?
No, they got debt.
How long were you just hanging on until you could get this deal closed? Months? Weeks?
Most of that summer. That summer was not a great summer.
Yeah. Your mother was alive at the time. What was she saying about all this?
At this point, well, you got yourself into it, now get yourself out.
Right.
You know what you're doing, just do it. She was not excited. Jim Crockett Promotions.
It's her life.
She kept the books.
Yeah. I believe part of the agreement, as you said, was you were going to stay on as part of the organization. You just said a 5-year deal. I read that originally you were supposed to handle wrestling operations and Dusty would continue to book. Is that right?
That was discussed.
Okay.
And then I can't remember which vice president went out and hired Jim Herd because he didn't want to have anything to do with wrestling. And so when Jim Herd came in, it went crazy.